Now this is part 2 of our second lesson of how to do half double crochet for the free course for beginners. In part 1 we introduce the regular half double crochet, and this we are going to introduce half double crochet front loop. So as we did in the single crochet, we introduced the 3 variation. I'm going to introduce the 4 variation of half double crochet. By now you already know that this is the starting chain. You chain the number of chains that is introduced in the pattern, then chain 1 for the height and work 1 row of regular half double crochet. To start either front loop or back loop, you need all the time to start your first row with 1 regular half double crochet or 1 regular stitch of the stitch that you are doing. So whether it's a single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, the first row all the time will be the stitch regular 1. Then I'm going to chain 1. So as you can see, half double crochet and single crochet, use this chain 1 for the height only, not 2. In my version I only do 1 chain, so my stitches are neat and the edges are straight. Then you have this shape, which means half double crochet front loop. This circular part is under, so it's a front loop. Let's see how we're going to work the front loop. So I have here the sample that I have did in part 1, and I'm going to work on it because whenever I do front loop or back loop, I am going to work on the first row of the regular half double crochet. So I'm going to chain 1, this is chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work and mark this chain here. I hope this is clear because some ask it to make sure that it's apparent. See here, this is the chain 1. Make sure that you mark it like this in both loops here. So I do have here, this is the chain. As I told you in part 1, I do have 3 loops, 1, 2 and 3. I am going to work in the front loop. Now this is the third loop or the lower loop, and this is the front loop and this is the back loop. So I am going to work in the front. So yarn over, insert your hook only in the front. See, here is the back one. See, this is the back and I only use the front, and yarn over and pull through. So I end up with 3 loops, yarn over and pull through the 3 loops together. Again you are going to yarn over, use only the front loop. This is the front loop here, this one only. I am not going to work in this loop, I am going to work in this loop here. Only one loop here, and this is the back loop here. I am leaving it behind. Yarn and pull, you have 3 loops, yarn and pull, and always hold your loops with these 2 fingers, this, like this. And don't be afraid if this loop get bigger, it will adjust itself once you do another stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook in 1 loop only, yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through the 3 loops. See, this was a bigger one, so it got adjusted like this. Only 1 loop, front loop only. The front loop only. Now see, I have reached the end. How I know that? Because this is the chain 1 that I did, and I do have 2 loops here, so I am going to do 1 more stitch. It's either that or you can just count your stitches, but I sometimes get bored from counting, and sometimes I just lose counting. And when I work in big projects like blankets or shawls and stuff like this, so it's hard for me to just keep counting when I do this stuff, so I use a stitch marker instead. Chain 1, turn your work, mark this stitch here, this one here, and work in the front loop only. I do have here this. Don't mess your front loop with the third loop. This is the front loop, the one with the stitch. So you start to work in the front loop. And you just keep do this in the front loop until you reach the end. See, this is the same technique. You just insert your hook in the stitch, yarn over and pull through the loops on the hook. Now you know that you reached the end, that you find your stitch marker, so I still have 1 loop here. See, this is very important, because this is the stitch or the loop that I thought it's the front loop, but if I just turn my work, I will find this loop and this loop. See, this is the stitch I work in, and this is just the third loop in here. So you are going to yarn over and lose this. Don't work in this loop here, and work in the front loop of the stitch in here, and finish your row. Chain 1, turn your work and mark this stitch here, the chain that I did. So you will have this stitch. This is the first stitch. From here you can see that this is the one I have marked, the chain, and this is the one, the first one here. So you are going to work in this loop, the first loop, front loop of course, sorry. So you are going to yarn over, insert your hook in the loop from under to above. Again, of course there are many ways to hold your yarn. You can just wrap it around your finger like this more than one time and just do this. I'm going to show you because some people asked me to show them different kind of holding your yarn. Just you are going to, this is the yarn like this, and you are going to wrap it around your finger more than one time and work with it like this, so it gets tight. And whenever you lose this height like this, just yarn, insert, and move your finger like this, and see, so whenever you just find it shorter, you just unwrap it from your finger. But I like this hold because the yarn is just movable, easily movable around my fingers. So just yarn, use one, and do the front loop. By now you have mastered the half double crochet stitch. It's a very beautiful stitch, and I use it in most of my other stitches. Now I have reached the end. Never use this loop here as the front loop. No, you just turn and you find two loops here. This one and this one. So I'm going to use the front loop only. That one. Just chain one, turn your work and mark your stitch like this here, and you have this shape here. So as you can see, working in the front loop creates this, and it's here from this side, working in the front loop creates this shape here. This is the end of part 2, and I'm going to move to part 3. Now this is part 3 of our half double crochet stitch lesson, and we are going to introduce a half double crochet back loop. As you can see, you will start with the chaining number of the pattern, then chain 1 and mark this stitch, work the first row regular half double crochet, then work this shape here. The singular part is above, so it's back loop, and you are going to chain 1 whenever you start a new row. And I figured to make another thing, instead of writing the pattern or writing the stitch, how to make the stitch, just giving you the abbreviation and the equivalent word for this. So I am going to leave all these patterns and all these shorts on my Facebook group. You can join and have all these things. And please, if you're not subscribed yet to the channel, please do and click on the bell so you will have all the lessons and all the stitches with the free pattern. Whenever I release one, you will be notified, and you are going to get all the giveaways and the free pattern and the lessons on the channel. Now to start working in the back loop, I chain 1 and mark this stitch and just turn your work. This is the chain 1 that I did, so I'm not going to work in it. I'm going to yarn over and work in the back loop here. Of course, it's easier than the front loop because you won't mess it with the third loop of the stitch. Insert, yarn over and pull, and just do 1 half double crochet, back loop only, and just do 1 half double crochet. By now you have mastered all these stitches. As you can see, it's only one technique and repeated throughout all the different stitches. Just you need to know the parts of the stitch: back loop, front loop, yarning over, and inserting your hook in the stitch or the chain. And you can have more than one stitch. We have already learned 3 stitches in the previous video, and here is 4 stitches, so you have 7 stitches to work with. So don't miss your last stitch here. It appears as if you end your row and this is not a stitch, but this is a stitch, and you need to work in the back loop here. So yarn over and insert your hook in the back loop. This is row 1, and it creates, working in the back loop creates a very beautiful texture. It gives you very good look. It actually gives you the look of the braid here, like this front loop, and the third loop creates a very good look of a braid, if you can see it. Now chain 1, turn your work. By now you will already know that you are going to mark this and just work in the back loop only. See? Now see, this is the back loop only. Chain 1 and turn, and this is how you work the back loop, here and here. See, this is a braid here, it's apparent, and this creates from this part, and this is braid here. This is the regular half double crochet, this is the front loop, and this is the back loop from here, and all these stitches are reversible. Of course you can work a scarf with these 3 stitches, one of each stitch, one row of each stitch. It will create your own pattern, or you can alternate between front loop and back loop and create a very beautiful pattern. I always do this stuff. But before doing the last part, I wanna show you the edges here, and from here you can see, and it's straight and all because of the help of the stitch marker. For beginners, it's a game changer, people. You need to use anything to mark your stitches in order to get these straight edges from all sides, working with different stitches, and you have straight lines. Now I'm going to do part 4, which is half double crochet in the 3rd loop of the stitch. This is how you're going to work it. Just starting with a slip knot as always, then start chaining any number, and I'm going to mark this stitch, the first stitch here, and you can of course return to the first part and work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch. Whenever you start any kind of front loop, back loop, 3rd loop, any kind of stitches, you always start your first row with 1 regular stitch. Now I have finished my first row of half double crochet. Now to tell you about this stitch, you need to know that this is the right side of the work, the front side of the work, the right side, and this is the back side of the work or the wrong side of the work. When you flip your work to the back, you will find this 3rd loop here, this one here, this one, and you will find the 2 loops of the stitch. So you will have these 2 loops here of the stitch and the loop here, the 3rd loop. So I am going to chain 1, and of course I'm going to mark this stitch, turn your work, mark it just for all beginners. I do have here these 2 loops, and I also have the 3rd loop or the lower loop. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook in this loop, and just do 1/2 double crochet. Again I'm going to yarn over, find the loop, this is the loop here, and this is the stitch here, see, and I'm going to use this loop. It's always at the bottom of the stitch, so you insert and do 1/2 double crochet. This one here, see, and this variation is one of the variations that we're going to work with in the pattern of the neck warmer I'm going to introduce. Now I have reached the end, and it's very important. This is the stitch where I put my marker, so I'm not going to insert, but I still have this stitch here, these two loops, so there must be another loop here that I am going to insert my hook in. It's rather difficult, but you will find it, and just pull and do 1 half double crochet, chain 1 and turn of course your work, and this is what you get. Little bumps here, and from the front you will have these braid here. See, these are both the front loop and the back loop of the stitch. So to work another row, of course you are going to mark this stitch and just work in this loop here. See, this is the loop here. Yarn and do 1 half double crochet. I have reached the end, and I still have one more stitch because I do have here this loop here and the stitch with the stitch marker, so I still have one loop to insert my hook in. It's very important to see the end and the beginning of each row. It's also reversible stitch, and this is from the back or the front, and this is from the back or the front. It creates a very good look of braid with each row, and of course when you continue doing it, and you are supposed to have this braid here and this braid here, this braid here and this braid here, so it's very beautiful. So you can either use this stitch or this variation or any of these variation to create beautiful works. So I will be posting all these stuff on my Facebook group. Join and you can have all these diagram and pattern. Please subscribe to the channel so you can get notified whenever I release any new video. It's totally for free. I don't charge anything from anybody. I just only doing these for fun and helping others too who share the same interest as mine. I hope you like the video and find it clear. If you do have any comment, please leave it in the comment section, and I'll be more than glad to answer all your questions and see all your comments. Thank you for watching, and see you in another video with another tutorial.